The AsIs podcast does not necessarily hold the views or opinions of our guests. The guests have a right to express their own thoughts, and those thoughts are protected with their freedom of speech. What they say is what they say, and we allow them the right to speak on their own behalf. The AsIs podcast is not responsible nor liable for the opinions and stories of others. Welcome to another edition of the AsIs podcast. I am your host, Shabazz. How's everybody feeling today? I hope that this podcast finds you in the best mental, physical, and spiritual health. I hope that this podcast finds you and puts a smile on your face. I hope that this podcast allows you to be open-minded enough to think. Today's podcast is going to be a special podcast. We have a special guest. We are going to be interviewing R.Kelly's sister. With all of the controversy going on, I think it's time for us to start talking to some of the people that have been most influenced and affected by the decision and verdict of what has just happened. So give me a second. Let me make this phone call and get her on the line.
Hello.
Hey, young lady.
Hey, Shabazz. What's going on?
I got you live on the air.
Okay.
You know, I know that this time has been painful for you as well as a lot of other people. So before I get into anything that's really serious, let me start off by asking you how you feel about the verdict. What's your feelings on it?
To be honest with the verdict, I got my tears out. And after I got my tears out, I started believing, the Lord even more, that his appeal is going to be very, very strong. I don't understand how the judge even reached that verdict, except that it was already set up. It was already set in place that no matter what, the government was determined to find Robert guilty.
Right.
And to give him time. So that's the only way, in thinking and sitting to myself and, reviewing transcripts that were sent to me, I'm like, there's no way that it should even went this far. You have murderers that don't even get that.
True.
So I was disappointed, but, and speaking to Bonjean and just praying about everything, I believe his appeal is going to be in his favor. Right.
I noticed you mentioned Bonjean. What is your relationship like with Jennifer?
She's a great person. She's a very great person. She's a phenomenal attorney. She's straight to the point, very, very intelligent and strong-willed. I love her to death. I don't have anything ill to say about Jennifer at all.
Right.
Whenever I email her, she emails me right back.
Right. I know that's your dog. I know that's your dog because we had a little incident not too long ago, and I'm not mad at you, so I don't even take it like I'm mad at you because I'm not. You know me and you as peoples regardless. I'm not on the bandwagon of what everybody else is on or what they aren't on. I could care less about that. But the incident I'm talking about is my conversation with her, and you warned her and let her know that Shabazz recorded you and he was going to release it and yada, yada. But because of that, I didn't. And you were the only person that I actually told. And I told you simply because I knew that she was a family member, and I just felt it was fair before I went along with it. So I say that to say that I don't necessarily have anything bad to say against Jennifer. I don't like the tactics and some of the ways, and I just don't like the position that she's in. And I don't think it's her position as far as just with R. Kelly. I just think it's a black position. And what I mean specifically is what I've always said. In order for a black man to receive justice in America, he has to have a white lawyer to even stand a chance. And even now, today, obviously, that's not guaranteed as a get out of jail card. So that's kind of basically where I was at with that. Since that's happened, have you talked to Robert?
I haven't talked to him. He sent me a message. I changed my number because I was getting a lot of little silly things coming across my phone and unknown calls and stop while you ahead and all this other stuff. So I changed my number. So he sent me a message and he'll be calling me soon because he usually calls me at least once a week and then emails. So yeah, he'll be calling me soon. My main concern, to be honest, I just want to make sure he's okay.
Right.
You know, it's not about notoriety. It's not about, I need to see how many views I get by bashing his sisters, by mentioning his name. You know, people weren't there, Shabazz, to see the pain on his face when we met him. People they don't hear, they hear what they wanted to hear, they see what they want to see, but my concern is about Robert Kelly. My concern is not about R. Kelly.
Right. And I hear
he
you.
is not this monster. They really, really push that narrative to make him look like a monster. And he is so humble. He's an humble person.
Right. Let me ask you this.
And it angers me. It angers me when people, sit back and just want to try to make him, especially the government, along with other people that's around him. They've been paid off or whatever's going on with them, but they want to make it seem like that he's this monster and he did this and he did that. Robert does not have to do anything. Women flock to him. He's a superstar. So people women going to flock to him. That's part of his life. That's what happens. But to sit here and try to just, to be determined to give him all this time and make it seem like he's this monster that did all this ridiculous stuff, all this crazy stuff to people, I'm just blown away.
Yeah.
I have no faith in the judicial system anymore.
Yeah.
It is truly built the way it's supposed to be. And that's against people of color.
Yeah. I agree that I think 30 years was excessive. But I do know that the government had mandatory minimums and he fell within the criteria of some of those. So it was really like there was no way for him to get around that, for the government to get around that. But let me ask you this. Why is it that you think, the passion that you have or the compassion that you have towards helping and wanting to make sure that he's okay, regardless to whether you're a family member or not, and I'm using that term loosely because I want to build up to coming to this point. If your best interest is in the interest of Robert, why do you think there are so many people who attack you to say that you're not his sister? And if they are R. Kelly supporters, does it matter if everybody wants the same thing, which is this man to be okay?
I'm gonna tell you something. Anybody that's for Robert, they wouldn't be attacking us like this. They wouldn't attack him because that bothers him very badly. So that's just like if my son brought a woman home that I know he loves, I'm not going to attack that woman and keep attacking her I'm not going to do that because it's called respect. And I'm going to add, and he may be wanting to marry the lady. Okay. As long as I know he loves her, she loves him, that's none of my business. They'll work whatever they need to work out at. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows the conversations that we've had. And to be honest with you, it's really none of anyone's business, our family dynamics.
Right. I agree
so
with that.
To me, it's just a bunch of busy people that have nothing else to do. A bunch of not only busy and mature individuals.
I agree.
See, the way that I look at Robert, I look at him with love. I'm not looking at him as I want to sleep with him. I want to have a relationship with him. I want to be number one. So, of course, I don't have those problems. But women that look at him that way, that's why they have a problem with me. They don't know me. They don't know anything. And I do mean anything about our family dynamics. Robert always said, keep it in the locker room.
Right.
So I don't tread on our family dynamics. That's none of anyone's business.
Right. You know,
For what?
I am going to show some clips in this conversation. One clip that I actually sent to you. In addition, we're going to talk about this recording. But the first thing that I want to do is talk about the clip that I sent to you. So by now, I'm sure you've seen it. And it showed you walking into the courthouse with your other sister and Dottie. And they were asking your relationship status and several other questions. But in the background, there's another blogger, and I'm going to name the blogger because I'm not going to do subliminals. But that blogger was Pieces of the Puzzle, also known as Hollywood Nexx. And she was continuously screaming that she didn't take a blood test yet. They didn't even do DNA. They don't know his mother. How do you feel about Hollywood Nexx?
To be honest with you, I don't have anything against any of the bloggers.
Okay.
If that's what they feel like they need to do, then that's on them. But in the end, I'm still going to talk to Robert. I'm still going to make sure he's okay. I'm still going to be spending my money catching flights, okay, because I made him a promise. I'm going to stick by you. I love you, and I'm going to stick by you.
Right.
And that's all I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about any of these bloggers coming against me. That's not how I'm built. I'm not built that way. And he's not built that way.
Right.
And that doesn't make him feel good to know, oh, I'm out here, they're out here disrespecting my sisters. And, that doesn't make that man feel good at all.
And
all.
I think it's kind of bad because if we're all trying to help R. Kelly, and I think especially during the court proceedings, before or after, I don't think that, the little extra stuff on the outside should be even placed in front of where the man is fighting for his life. That's just my personal opinion. But then on the other hand, you've had problems before with bloggers, and I think this same blogger at one time tried to block your entrance, tried to block you from getting into the courthouse. And I'm just going to ask this question just as a common question. At what point do you not get tired and fight back? Because you've been very quiet. The family has not really said anything. There've been people against you. But you know how the game go, right? Because in the game, once you tag lane...
I know how the game go. And
it's not going to stop. So when are you going to fight back?
When you say fight back, I'm not going to be out there like some ghetto... silly woman, immature woman at my brother's trial, at his court dates, fighting. I don't do that.
Right.
But as far as getting an attorney, as far as spending the money, now that it's getting serious, that is going to happen.
Right.
And that's the way I fight back.
I don't necessarily mean, let me just say this for the record. When I say fight back, I do not mean that you have to have a physical confrontation where it has to come to blows.
Okay.
You can fight back by doing, you can fight back just by what you're saying. You get your lawyer and start shutting shit down. You know what I mean? Like
that's correct. That's what we are doing.
Right. And
that's what we are doing.
I think, at some point it has to be where you say enough is enough. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that
enough of the disrespect. Enough of the disrespect. And the thing about it is, this is the question. You have people all the time that have family members that they come out and they find out that, okay, this is my brother, this is my sister. What is it that Cassandra and I have done that's so bad? We're not bashing anyone. We're not those type of people. We mind our own business. What is the problem with us encouraging, supporting, spending our money? You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Robert, what is the problem?
I agree.
What is the problem? It has to be something seriously wrong with anyone that keeps coming against us, keeps trying to find some way. Oh, we aren't Kellys. Oh, we aren't this. And yes, people are going to start getting served because I'm done with all of that. I'm done with all of that silliness because that's what it is. It's time for people to start going to jail. You give people a chance. But, we're not the type that's going to keep on being bullied. No one is going to keep on being bullied.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't, and again, like I said, we spend our own money. No one knows the conversations that we have with Robert. He told us to keep it in the locker room. That's none of anyone's business. Right. So it has to be something really, really seriously wrong for somebody to just come out in full force, keep bashing us, lying on us. We aren't Kellys. We have our own life.
Right.
We have our own money. We don't bother anyone.
You have
The only
another.
thing that we do, we're in a fight. We're in a fight with a bunch of wolves that say they're for Robert, but they really aren't. They're not for Robert. Robert is positive. He always says, keep things positive. So all that bashing and trying to destroy us and all of that, what is that doing?
Right. Let me
He
ask you.
doesn't even like that. He doesn't like that at all.
Let me ask you this question. You have another strict supporter, and I'm going to name supporters today or name people who've come to confront you. Sharon Winbush. Sharon Winbush has been a strong vocal supporter for R. Kelly. I don't know if since the beginning, but probably so. But with that being said, one of her accusations against you guys is that you guys want to take, you tried to get power of attorney and take over his publishing rights or whatever the case is. So she's basically saying that you guys have a hidden agenda. How would you respond to that?
When did we do that?
I don't know. I'm being non-biased and
That's ridiculous, and I'm not going to even keep. I'm not even going to go into that. That's ridiculous.
right.
That's the most ridiculous thing that I have ever heard.
But why do you think they come up with this stuff? Like, where do they get
I
that?
don't know. I don't know, and I really don't care.
Right.
I really don't care. I
Right.
really didn't, I don't, I really didn't expect to do, podcasts to even be talking about these individuals because they really are non-factors to me,
Right.
to be honest with you, because all of these lies flying around and, people come to me and they mention a lot of things, but I'm not concerned about any of that. My focus is Robert. My focus is, praying and making sure that he's okay.
Right.
That's my main concern. I'm not concerned about these people.
Right.
I'm not concerned about why they hate me. They don't pay anything on my Benz. They don't pay nothing on my BMW, my Mercedes. They don't pay nothing on nothing.
Right.
I don't care about these people. All I care about is making sure that my brother is okay. Anything else is messy.
I agree. And in all
That's
fairness,
messy.
I have to ask you these questions. And the reason why I'm going to be honest, I'm going to keep it 100 with you because you know me and you, I don't really care what other people say because I fuck with you. I want your ass to fight back. Like that's just what I'm on. I fuck with everybody. I don't really know, pieces of the puzzle. I fuck with Sharon Winbush. I'm not gonna lie to you. I fuck with everybody. I try to because I don't try to take anybody's sides. But just in all fairness, like I sincerely want you to fight back. And I'm not saying I want you to fight back physically, and I'm not saying I want you to go after this one or that one. But I just feel like just as a human being, I get tired of standing and seeing someone being bullied or being. I don't like bullies. I don't like
You know
people.
what? I'm gonna tell you something. When you say fight back, we aren't on the social media. We aren't
Right.
on the and we don't get on social media that much
Right.
because we don't care.
Right.
So most of the things that we hear are the few, and I do mean on one hand, people that say, "Hey, did you know such and such?" Because we just really don't. We aren't on social media.
Right.
But when you keep on coming harassing us and keep saying little crazy stuff, and we're here, to try to support our brother, it's hard enough.
Right.
He's in the situation that he's in from people that he's actually, just had a heart for. It's hard enough to know that they backstabbed him and now they're tainting his name. It's hard enough to have all of this on us. And then for someone to continuously come after us, yes, we are going to fight back.
Right. And
Yeah, we are going to fight
I
back.
think you should. And I'm not just saying against R. Kelly supporters or non-supporters. I think you should fight back if the wind is blowing too hard, and you fight back by putting on a coat. That's just my mind frame.
Mm-hmm.
But let me go into this. One of the things that I also noticed, and I noticed the critics have also noticed, Jennifer Bongine made a statement. And in this statement, I'm just going to be straight and to the point. She says, when he was asked about the sisters, she said that, what did she say? She said the brothers weren't there. They weren't able to make it. And someone asked about a sister, and she specifically said sister. Do you think that was something that she did as a subliminal on purpose, or did she just forget, or she answered in what she thought the world would know? Because she did specifically say he has one sister, he has two brothers, and et cetera, et cetera. Why do you think she said that?
To be honest with you, I think that some things that she doesn't need to put out,
Right.
Robert, he knows who we are. He acknowledges us, to be honest with you.
Right.
I don't want to put Jennifer or come against his counsel.
Right.
Whenever I spoke to her about it, you know, she just really felt overwhelmed by a lot of stuff. But I don't know, and I can't speak for her.
Right.
But as far as, you know, the messiness concerning all of that, to be honest with you, I look at different celebrities and their following,
Mm-hmm.
and Robert's following is totally different from any other celebrity
That's
following
an
that,
understatement.
and it is just like, and he loves his fans, of
Right.
course,
Right.
and I'm glad that his fans love him. But I'm really happy that he has mature fans
Right.
that they don't care about who is what, why, and where. All we care about is making sure this man is okay. But to get on and start bashing us and saying all this nasty, filthy stuff coming out of a woman's mouth, that is totally just, I have no words for that. I don't even want to keep on even embellishing it or talking about it because I really don't care. I
I
don't care
think,
what people think about us. I don't care about any of that.
and you know what?
Shabazz.
On some real,
I'm,
you're not supposed to. Like, and that's why I fuck
yeah.
with you. Listen, like, I know I say a lot of shit, and some people may not agree with the things I say, but when it comes down to the core, I just believe in being righteous and trying to be fair as possible. And I respect the fact that you have to do what you have to do, and you should not care what people say or do, because if your main focus and concern is, R. Kelly, then that's what it is. Because I'm sure that you, whether you realized it or you didn't, but once you got involved with it, with this, the whole ordeal, I'm sure you seen like this is overwhelming. It's a lot, and to step into an R. Kelly fight, you really you fighting all sides sometimes. You understand? Like you fighting
That's
it.
correct. And what people don't know is they don't know the magnitude of people that we've gotten in contact with. They don't know the magnitude of, you know, things we've had investigated, you know, the money we spent on our own, you
Right.
know, just wanting to see what is going on. And that rabbit hole goes deep. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm sitting here like, you know, I call him brother. I said, brother, you know, I'm trying to figure out, is it anyone that was in your camp or around you that didn't steal? That's my question.
Yeah.
Is it anyone?
Yeah. Yeah. That is kind of sad. That is definitely sad.
Anyone?
How did you feel when you seen Keith at the sentencing? How do you have a relationship with Keith?
Yeah, I like Keith. Yeah, I like Keith. I think he's an awesome person. I think that he's under a lot of stress too. You know, just seeing Robert in the situation.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that, you know, people that really love him, this is affecting anyone that truly loves him. And I'm going to include even the fans that are truly not out here just being messy. You know, those are the ones that I will talk to. But anybody that's been just out there being nasty and filthy, I don't want anything to do with that because that is not helping him at all.
Yeah. I
You know,
agree.
but and plus, you know, Keith is he doesn't like that drama. You know, he reminds me a lot of Robert. He doesn't like all that drama.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I can agree.
Nobody likes drama. And you know what? And I'm gonna tell you something. What if everyone had just united without all the drama, without all the chaos, and just came together and supported Robert?
You know what? That's too much like right for black people. We don't do that. We say we do that, but there's always in between fights, and that just doesn't happen. So, I mean, that's a great question, but unfortunately, we always see the answer, and the answer is just going to be conquer and divide, and we divide ourselves most of the time. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how to solve that problem. I think we seen that when they had the court case and people were allowed to listen when he was with the call-ins, and you heard the people cursing and screaming. It's like, I don't know. I think R. Kelly's magnitude of his talent has really touched people to where they feel like they are a part of him, and it comes out passionately. So when people fight and
Hmm.
people feel how they feel as though it's really them. I mean, that's the only thing that I could think of to make it make sense, because his fan base is, you're 100% correct, an entirely different type of a fan base. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's good for him, but
Hmm.
at the same time, it's like, people, Beyonce has the Beehive. You know what I mean? Like, you say some shit about Beyonce, they getting ready to come at you.
Hmm.
R. Kelly's is similar, but there's a lot of turmoil inside of that. And I don't know. But from this point on, what do you expect to see? Like, what do you think is getting ready to happen? You know,
Well,
before.
I wanted to touch back on something too. Is
Sure.
that I think that I thought that it was very, very immature and childish. There are a lot about this. There are a lot of things that Robert just doesn't want out there, in the public, arena concerning his family, concerning a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. He's really, really protective over family.
Right.
And I just really felt that for someone to go to his attorney and attempt to put things out that shouldn't be put out, or, you know what I'm saying, to put her on the spot like that, that was the most immature thing I have ever
Wait a
seen
minute now.
someone do.
You got to specify. Tell me what you're talking about, because we ain't going for that subliminal shit.
What I'm saying is to come to be a supporter,
Right.
I'm going to say, even if you're an immature supporter,
Okay.
do you think that, if you're going to be a supporter, you have to be smart about the things that you do?
Right.
But to come and continuously cause chaos while this man is fighting for his life, do you think that's a person that he should even invest any audience to, any attention to?
I personally don't, but the supporters are separated into groups. You have those who do that. You have those who go to the extreme. You have those who read transcripts. You have those who give opinions. So I agree. But my question is
I'm talking about the ones that cause chaos.
who?
The
How
ones
about
that cause chaos.
Who?
Anyone
I
that
can't
causes
answer
chaos.
unless you name them. Who?
I'm not going to name anyone, but I'm just saying anyone that causes chaos. Anyone that causes chaos on purpose. On purpose.
Okay.
Knowing that the government is looking at everything. Knowing this is a very sensitive case. Robert's fighting for his life. Even in your small mind, why would you come and bring all of that chaos to the media just because you're angry because two females that you don't know are supporting him?
I mean, that's a fair question.
You haven't had a conversation. You don't know anything that we have to show Robert when he gets out. You don't know anything about our family dynamics, but you're going to continuously bash him, continuously show up at their court dates where this man needs support. You tell me, what type of mindset is that?
I agree, but you know what? I have to go here because I can't properly or fairly answer the question unless I know who you're talking about. So I'm going to go off the hint.
Well, it's not who I'm talking about. This can be, I'm just saying, even overall, what type of mindset? It could be a male, it could be a female. Who does that?
Well, there are a few that have been avid supporters who've actually showed up at a couple of court dates, and I've personally seen them. One is Hollywood Nexx.
Yeah.
The other one is Infamous Sylvia. Are we talking about one of them?
No, I'm not going to mention anyone's name because I'm not in the business of getting into back and forth with anyone. I'm just saying.
I'm
going to say this. I'm just not that type.
I get
I'm
it.
not that type of person.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
And I will never be that type of person.
Then here's what I'm gonna say to you: don't talk about the shit, then, because I'm gonna ask you. Like, don't. If you ain't that type of person, don't even mention the shit because that's just gonna make.
I'm not going back and forth with any of them. I'm not going back and forth with any of them. I'm not gonna get on here and bash people. Shabazz. I'm not built like that to be bashing people, causing problems and all that.
I know.
But I am gonna take. But I tell you this: charges are coming. You can believe that. I'm not going to take all that little craziness no more. When you start putting your hands on me and you start showing up at court dates, putting your hands on me and just trying to, riot everyone, to try to come after me and my sister just because we're spending our money in order to come and support our brother, you don't have that right. You're not even a part of this family dynamic.
I agree.
I haven't done anything to any of these females to come after me and my sister, to disrespect us or anything.
I agree.
How is that? How is us showing it? It's plenty. It's thousands of women. You know what I'm saying? Thousands of women. Robert's a superstar. So what is the problem? It shouldn't be a problem, but it's going to be a problem because I am definitely not going to let this go. Me and my sister are not going to keep on being harassed
Yo, I agree with you
for no
1,000%.
reason.
I agree with you. You're
For
supposed to
no
fight
reason.
back. You're supposed to fight back. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But I tell you this, the first part of fighting back is having the courage to say exactly who it is. And if you don't want to do that, I respect it. So I'm going to move on from that. Let me go into something that
Okay.
happened between me and you 2 weeks ago. Or I had a phone call, and I called you. And I told you I was going to do a podcast and I was going to talk about something. I didn't do it because, I got caught up with me having to do with some other stuff. In any event, I was honest with you because when I like to be honest as I possibly can. So what I was honest about was something that has taken place in the news, and it was a suicide. So before he was placed in suicide confinement or suicide watch, I told you that is something that you had to worry about. And let me explain why I said that, because there are going to be people who do not agree with me. First and foremost, being in any...
Robert is not suicidal.
Okay, but no, we're just talking about the conversation that we had prior to it becoming in the news. Do you recall that conversation?
Okay, that's fine, but he's not suicidal. That is not true. He's not suicidal.
I'm not saying
he would never commit suicide. And I want to put that on record. He would never do that.
I didn't say he did I? I never said that.
Okay.
We're talking about...
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And I'm fine with that. Like, yo, if I'm wrong, get my ass and tell me. I'm just asking you, did I not call you and have this conversation with you?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
And I didn't do it from a negative perspective. I did it because I'm a felon. I've been in jail. And I didn't say that he wanted to commit suicide. I said that it is a normal procedure when you get that amount of time to be placed on suicide watch. This is what the correctional facilities do to you. And then I also said that is a lot. That man has gone from being at the top of the charts to now 30 years. So mentally, that is a lot. I'm not saying that he would do it, but what I'm saying is there's always a possibility of anything. And I wanted to make you aware of it before I spoke about it. And then before I even got a chance to speak about it, they placed him on suicide watch. And now, as a result, Jennifer Bongine has taken out a lawsuit, $400 million suing the federal government. They've since taken him off of suicide watch. But for the record, I just wanted to let you know, and I think I told you then, it is normal procedure for when an inmate of high profile or even low profile, you get placed on the suicide watch because it is just a lot to deal with. It is a lot. It is a transformation where it's like you just realize you're never going home. And some people they're not strong enough to handle that. I'm not saying that
Kelly... but I believe that Robert is going home. Just because they gave that 30 years, that doesn't mean anything. His appeal is strong. And the way that the government came about getting this verdict, that was wrong too. It's injustices all through this whole entire trial. If evidence spoke for itself, he would be out.
Right.
It was evidence that was not even given. People that wanted to actually, be a witness that weren't called on purpose. Evidence that was taken from him that wasn't given back to him until after he got charges. This whole trial is just bogus and unjust. Period.
I mean, like, and there was some.
And that's the part that pisses me off.
And there were some weird things that happened. Like, you were on the visiting list scheduled to go see him, correct?
Yes.
And the jail got locked down.
And the jail got locked down.
So do you think those things are coincidences, or you just think it's...
I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe it's coincidence. I believe that they're trying to keep us apart, to keep me from talking to him. And I believe that. To keep Cassandra and I from talking to him.
Why?
And I believe that.
Why?
It's a lot of things, like I said, why people are out here doing this rah-rah and and blasting us and coming against us, instead of helping us. They want to form these little groups and come against us. I don't even care about that. But I guarantee you, if it was more unity instead of chaotic, a lot of things would get moved.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. And I don't really see the difference between, for the record, let me say this. I don't see the difference between you and a supporter. And the reason why I say that is because if the goal is to support R. Kelly, it shouldn't matter if you're a sister or not, because those who are in support of him, they aren't sisters either. You understand? And I'm not saying
That's the
that you're
way.
not, but those people, all of those people that are in support of R. Kelly are not family members. But that doesn't take them out of the fight. Whether you're just a fan, a friend, a family member, whatever, if the focus and the goal is on R. Kelly, then that's what it should be. Not trying to discredit this person about this and this person about
That's
that.
correct.
I agree with you a
That's
thousand
correct.
percent. But again,
That's correct.
you know how we are as black people. We just can't, we can't, that's too much like right.
Unfortunately.
That's too much like right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So
Unfortunately.
let's talk about this phone call. Now you sent me a recording, and I think that it's kind of old. It's been out before. So for those who think whatever, but in direct no specifically, he's talking to Joy, and he's telling Joy to let it be known that you are his sister. Talk about that.
You mean Cassandra and I?
Yes.
Hmm. I'm thinking that
Even with hearing that phone
Robert,
call, why do you think people are still going to discredit it?
because one thing about it, people like chaos. They love chaos. Like I told you, it's all about a mindset. If you are coming from in your mind, if you're coming from the mindset of I just want to support Robert, you're not thinking about anything else because you really have his best interest.
Right.
But if you're coming from the jealousy, I want to be the next number one, it's going to, what comes with that.
Right.
The jealousy, the bitterness, I want just this, I want these women out the way. That's what's going to come from that. And that's just the way it is.
Right. So even with them hearing his voice, there are still going to be some might even say, well, that's old and he may not feel that way anymore. And this, like, is there anything that you think that can be said or done to finally shut everybody down, or does it even matter if we can't?
To be honest with you, it really doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter. I have so much on my plate. I am really, really just focused on supporting him, keeping my promise. Anything else doesn't matter. God bless him.
Right.
Let's talk. And other than that, I'm not really concerned. I can't be concerned about that.
Let's talk about some of the people that we do know support you, in particularly Dottie. I fuck with Dottie too. I talk to Dottie. Shout out to her. Me and her feel the same way about a lot of things. But she remains to be, she doesn't like to be vocal either. But how important is the support of someone like Dottie to you?
Oh, I love Dottie. I love Dottie. I love Dottie because Dottie is loyal.
Yeah,
and it's hard to find people that are loyal.
Yeah, she is always with you.
She's very, very loyal. She's very loyal. And one thing, I love people that when they have a problem, or, for example, a lot of people don't like communicating, concerning things. I have friends that doesn't like communicating, and I am a communicator. So I like, if you have a problem with me, I like you to be able to talk to me about it.
Right.
And one thing that I love about Dottie is she's very vocal when it comes to her marketing strategy, things that she feels like would help, or she doesn't mind calling me and saying, hey, I wanted to run this by you, or this or that. I just love that about her. I love her whole aura.
Right. She's cool people.
Yeah, she really is. She's very cool now, but I'm not going to leave out Terry.
What? Say that again?
I'm not going to leave out Terry.
Terry, okay.
Terry, they call her small fry.
Okay.
And one thing that I do love about her, a certain person tried their best to cause some problems, because Terry could have sat with us. To me, she is my sister.
Right.
She's been there through some very, very hard times. She's helped Cassandra and I, and Dottie has too. Right. And she could have sat with us in court. I didn't have a problem with her sitting with us in court.
Right.
At all. And someone tried to make a big deal out of it, but it was just a misunderstanding.
Right.
Someone tried to make a big deal out of it, but that's what people do.
Of course.
That's what people do. But what it all boils down to in the end is, I am not going to go back and forth with anyone. I'm done with all of that. I'm just not going to do that. I'm done with the being bullied. I'm done with all of that.
I,
All that is done. I'm done with that. When I tell you I'm so done, I am done. It's time for people to start getting charges. And it's time for people to stop thinking this is a joke because I've been quiet. It's just time for all of that. Game over for all of that.
right. Let me move on and ask you about the next person that might be controversial because I don't know. I know she started with you guys, and I do not know if you guys' relationship is off and off. Dr. Rogers, how do you feel about her, and what's your relationship like now?
Oh, I love Dr. Rogers. Dr. Rogers has stuck by us through some hard times. And as usual, it's always someone trying to mix communicate things. And, you know how there are busybody people that want to make it seem like something is more than what it is. And, you know, and when you have a lot of chaos going around you, you don't know what is what, but in the end, I love Dr. Rogers. I don't have anything against Dr. Rogers. Never
Right.
have and never will.
Right. I fuck with her too. Like I fuck with her because of y'all. I fuck with all of y'all. Like I said, like I'm loyal to an extent to where I just believe in shit just because of what it is. Right now she's
Hmm.
going through some shit because people tried to come at her and attack her, and particularly Levi has some disparaging things to say about her. And I know that she's had some problems with Dana J as well. And I've had a conversation. I was in New York last week, and we had a 3 or 4 hour conversation, and I can kind of feel her displeasure with some of these people. And I don't think people really realize that Dr. Rogers is the Department of Justice. Like she's actually a fucking Fed. What do you say to that?
I don't say anything to that.
But
I
so
mean, that's her career, that's her job, and
that's
hey,
what I'm
that's her
saying.
job. But
No, no, that's what I'm
but
not.
people want to try to take that and turn it around and mix it up. And yeah, she's the reason why R. Kelly went to jail and all that. I really just don't even care.
I
I
ain't,
really don't care.
I ain't hear all that, and
I just really don't. I don't care.
I haven't heard that, and I don't know. When I say Department of Justice, the reason why I'm saying is because I don't think people realize who they fucking with when they start trying to take a fight towards somebody like
No,
that.
they've been trying to pick a fight with her, and they've been making little comments like that. Been trying to come at her for no reason. That woman has stuck by us through some very very hard times.
Right.
And I don't care about any of this. All this, when I tell you, I have never ever encountered such an immature group of individuals. Please know that.
I believe you.
And just knowing that, and I'm like, okay, are these the type of people that Robert had around them? This is, you have to wonder, when you read transcripts and you're like,
Have you ever presented him with the question of why there were so many people that were snakes around him? Have you ever asked him that directly?
I've never asked him that, but he told me some things that really bothered him about, and now he knows. I guarantee you, the way that he went in, when he comes out, he's not going to be the same person.
Shit, he shouldn't
Because
be.
like I said, he's not going to be the same person because now he actually sees that people are really just selfish and they're full of greed.
That's an
And
understatement.
that greed is stronger than love, is stronger than loyalty, and that's how it is.
Yeah, I agree.
People don't care about anyone,
But
and the people that it's to the extent now that people are just anybody that tries to come around him, they feel like everybody has an agenda, and I
yeah,
don't have an agenda.
I agree. And you know what's
I just
crazy
don't.
about it? You know what's crazy about it? When people say that, I sit back and I watch. Because I went to the court case in New York. I just wasn't seen. I think a couple of people seen me. I didn't, wish to get involved with the middle of all that, but I was there. One of the people that I was there with that I had a conversation was with Carrie. Uh, Outside of that one time of me seeing Carrie, I think he was leaving that day. In addition to Carrie, what I've noticed, and even at the sentencing, all of these people that step up to say who you are not and what you don't do, none of those people are actually there. Like, I didn't see, when you say that you're family, and if people want to debate that, that's to be debated. That's okay. But where was the other family members at? Because the only family that I see stepping up to actually say that they're family are you and Cassandra. Why is
But
that?
here's the thing. Cassandra and I represent, you know, other family members, we're just the ones that's out here. But, the Kellys, this a huge family. They're
Right.
a huge family. And soon, once Robert is released, that's why I say soon, because I truly believe that he's going to be getting out. I don't care about all these other people that want him, don't want him out. I don't care about the bitterness from these individuals that came against him. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of that.
Wait a minute.
I'm still going to believe that he's going to be free.
When you say free from the New York trial, because of course there's an upcoming trial. What do you see or
I
foresee
do.
with Chicago? How do you see that going? You think he's going to be acquitted?
I can say I'm hoping he's going to be acquitted.
Right.
I have to look toward the hills will come with my help. I have to, believe in God's word. I can't believe in man's word.
Right.
I have to believe in God's word, because believing in man's word will drive you crazy.
Yeah. So you mean
how can I encourage him and keep him encouraged if I'm speaking negative and telling him one thing and then I'm speaking another way? I gotta stick to what I'm saying. That's what I believe. I'm believing God and His word. I'm believing that God's will be done.
So you think through all of these cases that when you say he's going to come out, do you mean as in tomorrow, or do you think after appeals are done, within the next couple of years?
I'm believing that his appeal is going to be in his favor,
Okay.
and I'm believing it's going to be a domino effect.
How many years do you think that's going to take, or days, or hours? How long do you think that'll take effect?
I can't say. I can't say. I've never even let that come across my mind.
Well, you need to think about the amount of time that it takes to make an appeal and have an appeal exhausted and retry it. The average appeal may take anywhere from 3 to 5 years. That's on the low. That's being very generous. Have you
Well,
taken that into account?
no, I don't want to take that into account right now. What I want to take into account that Robert's going to be free.
Right.
In the amount of time, God has His hand on him. I'm just believing that he's going to be free.
Right.
And in all things, let God's will be done.
Right. Let me
I'm
ask.
just going to leave that there.
Excuse me. Let me
I've
ask.
seen people, that I know personally I've seen them excel. People felt like, oh no, he's not going to make it. He's not going to, whether it's sickness, whether it's jail time. I've seen God do some great, miraculous things in people's lives.
Agreed. It's not impossible. I've never said anything that you said is not impossible, but I'm just like a realist, and I like to be realistic. And I hear a lot of people saying that he's going to come out on appeal and et cetera, and that's very possible. But the way they say it and what they try to imply is as if he's coming home in September, and I just don't think that that's humanly possible, because the legal system is not designed to even approach the case or move that quickly. So I think he's still looking at being incarcerated for some time before that day comes, if it ever comes. That's just being realistic. That's not against him. That's not for him. That's just the judicial system, and that's just where
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: there's a lot with the judicial system that maybe you aren't aware of.
I'm not a lawyer, so you're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not a lawyer, so you're probably right. And I've seen some incredible things happen as well, on the negative end and on the positive end. But as just being a realistic person, you have to prepare yourself for all of that. And that's what I tried to explain or talk about earlier when I said I called you prior to, it making the news with the suicide, because I just wanted you to be aware of the mentality of an inmate or a person who is going through what he goes through. Because I think part of the problem with the R. Kelly cult and the R. Kelly saga is that people really don't know. They just assume, like, if you ain't never really been through the system, you don't really know. You can read all the transcripts in the world, all the law books in the world, but you can have two people with the exact same case and you get two very different outcomes. You understand what I'm saying? Like they can have the same exact charge. One can walk and the other can get 100 years. And you'll scratch your head wondering like, well, how did that happen? These are the exact same cases. And it might have been done in different courts, but if they're all under the federal jurisdiction, it shouldn't matter. But they get very two different outcomes. And that's just real. And that's what I've seen. So I try to speak from a way like that. And I've always done that with you. You know, I try to do that with everybody. And I know, sometimes you might say Shabazz has done lost his damn mind or whatever. But I feel like I wouldn't be friends with you and I wouldn't be able to be cool with you if there was something that I knew and I didn't tell you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if,
Yeah. Hmm.
like,
But see, one thing about it is Robert, he would never, and he and I have talked about it. He
right,
would never commit suicide. No one could ever make me believe that
right,
because his thing is, I want to see Jesus,
right.
and I can't see Jesus if I'm gonna commit suicide.
I agree. That is one holy sin that
And he's
cannot
strong about that. He's
cannot
strong
reverse that.
about that, and I will never believe he'll ever commit suicide. He would even think about that.
I,
Yeah, I
I,
think his main concern right now is just walking this out day by day,
I
and staying under God. That's what his main thing is.
I agree. I think that's the only thing you
Yeah.
can do at this point because, like, at the end of the day, everything else has been exhausted. What do you have to lose? Which brings me to this. How do you think the victims feel, or the so called victims, however you want to state them, the people who were accusatory and the people who made the statements, the impact statements? How do you think they feel? Do you think that they feel like they've earned their victory and they're jubilant?
I really don't even want to touch on those victims, but I can say this: if I was a real victim, okay, then I would feel victorious, you know.
Okay.
But the only victim that I see is Robert. So I can't really speak on how they would feel
Right.
because he's the only victim that I see.
Right. So I got
Because all
to,
from all the evidence, he's the only victim from all the real evidence.
right. So I got to ask you this question, and I got to play devil's advocate. So what you're saying to me is basically all of the people that made the victim impact statements, all of them are liars. You don't believe any of them. Do you believe
To
they?
be honest with you, I'm gonna put alleged in front of there.
Okay.
My focus wasn't on them. My focus was on the gentleman, the brother, the family member that I've been talking to,
Right.
the one that I been getting pictures from, the one that I've been reading his letters over and over and feeling his energy, and I believe him.
Who?
And being the fact that I believe him,
Who?
I don't have room for anything else.
Who? Who is you believe him? Who is him?
Robert,
Oh,
I believe
okay.
Robert.
Okay. 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 No, I'm lost for a minute. Unfortunately, you lost me with that one because there were males that were involved in the case as well. So when you said him, I kind of got thrown off. It's kind of you never know what someone else has gone through. So what I will say is I believe to an extent some of the things that were said, but I think there's a lot of exaggeration, and I think there was a lot of I just think it was exaggerated. I think it was blown out of proportion. I think everybody knew what they were doing when they were doing it, and when shit went sour, uh, here came the stories. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I mean that doesn't say he's guilty or innocent. I just don't believe that. My biggest problem with the entire case was the RICO. That's what I have a problem with. And as you see, I said before in older podcasts, that RICO law, because it's happened to R. Kelly and they've gotten away with it, they're going to start pushing that narrative even more. And we're seeing that happen with some of the rappers right now. How do you feel about
That's correct.
the RICO?
That's correct. They're pushing that narrative to men of color.
Yeah, I agree, 1,000%. And I think it's easier pill to swallow because it was swallowed with R. Kelly.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that.
That's correct.
And I don't
I
think
just feel like some things people should stand up for. I mean, there are some things that you can see that is getting ready to be a domino effect.
yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
what's going on now? You can't just sit back and say, okay, well, it's not my household. Well, it can be your household.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
I agree. And I don't think people realize that until it happens to them or it happens to somebody that they like. But then they're never going to put together that this happened as a result of this. And that is how this country and things work. For example, Roe versus Wade. They've stripped women away from the rights to have an abortion, to do what they want to do with their body. So my question is, what's next? You understand? I don't know if people
That's correct.
are really looking at that, but because they've hit you with the sting of Roe versus Wade and taken away the shockingness of it, they can come with something else and do it again. So I think like LGBTQT is next. Same-sex marriages is going to be next. They're going to start taking things off of the table, and we just standing around watching. And I don't think people realize that. Anyway, in any event, when do you plan on seeing Rob, or is there a plan?
I'm hoping that I'm hoping that he'll have the same as he did before. That being the fact that we've been approved on the list, I'm hoping that I'll hear from him and he'll go ahead and give us a date. And hopefully it won't be something that's shut down again, or something that comes from the alleged higher ups, as I was told by an individual, and the jail gets shut down. So I'm just waiting to hear from him, and then go from there.
Are you going to be involved with the Chicago case?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yes, I plan on supporting him, through.
Well, you know what? Just be prepared, yo. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what, and I'm not just talking from a legal perspective. I'm just talking about, all of the hate and the things that are surrounding that. I just think that's something that you should be prepared for, because I don't think that you're in a win situation at all. I don't think there's going to be anything that you're going to say to some people that are going to convince them anything of what they think negative. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what you say, they're still going to come back and attack you for whatever reason. That's just the nature of some people. Some people are just that passionate about how they feel about R. Kelly. I get it.
To be honest with you, let me stop you right there. I don't think that that has anything to do with R. Kelly. What is attacking me? That's just something that's in them. That's in something in them. Whether my brother was involved or not, that's just something in them that they need to. That rage, all of that, that's just something that's in them that need to be addressed before it ends them in jail. And that's whomever it is.
Right.
No one has the right to put their hands on anyone.
I'm surprised you went for that one. Like me and Dr. Rogers talked about that shit for like 3 hours last week.
But let me ask you this. How does it look? Cassandra and I are here to support Robert, and we're outside a courtroom in battle with a fan. How does that look on TV?
Terrible. I agree.
How does that look on television?
Terrible. I agree. I agree. But I mean, you in a catch-22 situation. You damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I'd rather be damned if I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day.
I know how you are. I just really don't want anything to do with any of the chaos, any of the, excess, all the messiness. I don't want anything to do with that. That's why a lot of things I don't know, because we're not on social media. People have to actually, send us a message or email, or we don't know what's on social media.
Right.
But now that I do know, and now that I do know the nastiness, it's being addressed.
Right.
So.
And you have a right to do that.
That's the way it is, because I have too much on my plate to be going back and forth with anyone, and I really am concerned about Robert and his well-being.
Right. And what I will say in your defense, and just I'm gonna say it for the record, like I fuck with you. I fuck with you and your sister. I fuck with Dottie. I fuck with Dr. Rogers. I fuck with Sharon Winbush. I fuck with a lot of people. I just do. And I am going to stay that way. And what I will say is I definitely support you in fighting back and just standing up for yourself. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't give a, man, brother or not, like, you ain't just going to keep on coming at me and I'm just going to keep on just taking it and taking it and taking it. Because what's important to me is, regardless of how you feel about me personally, you ain't his brother and you ain't his sister neither. You understand what I'm saying? And even if you are, what does that have to do with trying to get this man out or trying to help him be
That's
treated
correct.
fairly? The
That's
relationship of the
correct.
individuals has nothing to do, and you lose focus when you start,
Nothing.
attacking those who are supporting him. That's how I
That's
feel about it.
correct.
You know what I mean? So even
That's
when
correct.
you have,
But here's the thing: the ones that's doing all this attacking, how many court dates have you attended?
I agree. I've seen that personally. But I will say, just in defense of even them, because I have to be fair, there are a couple of them that they are on it, just like you. They be there. They may come with nonsense, but nevertheless, they do show up. The majority of them don't. And unfortunately, there are some things that I don't want to release or say, but, I know why some of the family members that are known wasn't there. But for the most part, outside of that, I didn't see any family members that are known in attendance the way you guys are. So I have to give you that credit. I even have to give those, who have the nonsense that credit that they have been loyal to actually show up to the court dates. But sometimes I just think, they need to leave ghetto home. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do corporate business in the drug world, and you can't do drug world business in the corporate world. And sometimes people don't know how to leave the other half at home, so they bring the bullshit with them.
Shenanigans should always be left at home,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
shenanigans dealing with me and my sister is going to end you up. You're going to end up with charges. You're going to end up in jail. Because enough is enough,
Hey,
and that's just the way it is.
I
No one, it's not easy, catching flights, and you got stuff that you have to, that you switched around and reorganized, because you want to make sure that you keep your promise. You want to make sure that you're there. That's
right.
not easy. Having a family and trying to run a business, all that's not easy. So no one has time. Who has the time to continuously keep badgering somebody and disrespecting somebody? You know what I'm saying? Who even thinks of that in their little mind?
Right.
That's not even something we even think about.
Yeah. You know what I seen too? I just happened to see. I seen with my own eyes. Are you familiar with Tasha K?
Hmm.
Tasha K has gotten back into the R. Kelly saga because she did an interview with Carrie. How do you feel about Tasha K and her whole situation surrounding this case?
To be honest with you, I don't feel anything. I don't even think about it.
Right.
The only part that I thought about that pissed me off was when she lied and said that we're Warrens. I don't know where she's getting her information from,
She said
but
what?
that's fine too.
She said
That
what?
we're Warrens. We're Warrens.
Warrens. What do you mean Warrens?
We're not Kellys. Our
Oh,
last name is Warren.
oh. She said that.
She's the one that said that,
Oh, well,
from my understanding.
who is Warren? Who is
I
that?
don't know who. In my family, there is Kellys, there's Warrens, because my mom was married more than one time.
Okay.
But what does that have to do with me? The husband that my mom was with, he was a Warren. My dad's a Kelly. So why is it that we have to be Warrens? That kind of silliness.
I mean, Tasha K is a blogger, and Tasha K is going to do what Tasha K does. But at the end of the day, no man's mouth or woman's mouth is a Bible. And I listened
Hmm.
to some of the I listened to some of the Carrie Kelly interviews. So, what I will say in regards to some of her information, it's not totally accurate because even the people that she's getting her information from, they're not telling her everything. I watched the Carrie interview, and I'll go on record to say, the story that I got is not the story that you got. And we both got the story from the same people. But the difference between my story and her story is I have footage to support it. You understand? She just got
Mm.
somebody telling her something. So there's a big difference. You know what I mean? So I'm not taking a shot at her, but I wouldn't really, take her word as it's the law and this is the Bible because, in defense of her and other bloggers, you're only as good as your sources. If people tell you something, you are going to believe or listen to what those people tell you. So sometimes people are misinformed. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of that. Ain't nobody's mouth, no Bible. You know what I'm
There's a
saying?
lot of that
There's
misinformation. That's correct. It's a lot
there's
of
no
misinformation.
question about that. No question. And I mean, that's just what it is. But listen, what I'm going to do is I am going to play the news camera clip when you were being verbally assaulted by Hollywood Nexx. And then I am going to also record or replay the recording of R. Kelly expressing how you guys are his sisters. And I'm just going to leave that out there for the people to see. Whatever they come up with is what they come up with. But in the meantime, listen, keep doing what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure will.
you got to hold on. You got to stay strong and stop letting people fuck with you. Like, bottom line, like all that, you singing that kumbaya shit. Yeah, I get all that. I respect all that. And I ain't saying this for points because you know how I am. We talk, fuck a podcast. Like all that picking on you shit, man, listen, nigga, you gonna have to stop that shit. Like, I don't give a fuck what you say. You know what I mean? Because if you don't stop, it's just gonna continue. People do not stop on their own. You know what I mean?
No, they'll stop. They'll stop. They'll stop when they get charges and they get put in jail. They'll stop.
Well,
Because there's nothing weak about me. Just because I'm not out there fist fighting, being ghetto and, ignorant and all that. That, you know what I'm saying? I know how to make them stop.
well, you do that. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you about. Well, you're a civilian. You can do what you want to. I'm not gonna tell you the police route and all that shit. Whatever it is that you got to do to make you feel good, that's what you got to do. That's the bottom line for me. So you listen.
Yeah, I'm not on your podcast. I'm not doing this to try to prove anything to anyone. People believe whatever they want to believe. I could care less.
Right, and that's just what it is. And I don't think that's the podcast because I talk to you outside the podcast. This is just
Of course.
this ain't got nothing to do with no podcast.
No, I'm saying I don't want people to think that I'm on the podcast still trying to make them think who I am. I am so over all of that.
Right, and I don't blame you.
I'm over all that. And I appreciate you having me on.
Without a doubt, you my peoples. Like I don't get into what motherfuckers. I don't care about none of that shit. If I fuck with you, I fuck with you. If I fuck with you, we going through the storm together and the sunshine together. All that other shit, I don't give a fuck about none of that. Our relationship is between me and you. It has nothing to do with if you fuck with R. Kelly, if you his mother, if you his daddy. I don't give a fuck about none of that. There's a brother, Levi. He's R. Kelly's cousin, and this is like that's always a debate and a topic. If I talk to Levi, I don't give less than a fuck about if he's R. Kelly's cousin or. I don't give a shit about none of that. You know what I'm saying? I deal with the people just based on who the people are. So with that being said, I appreciate you coming to my platform. I appreciate you getting it out. And I definitely am going to stay on top of your ass to make sure you defend yourself. Like that is for sure. You know that.
And I am.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Without a doubt. I'm going to holler at you later. All right. Well, people, there you have it. I don't know what people are going to take from whatever they take, but it is what it is, yo. With that being said, I am going to show you guys a couple of clips based on what we were talking about. And after you see those clips, I will return with my closing statements. So take a look at this.
You know what?
I didn't hear your name.
Oh, Lisa.
If your last names are Kelly, can I ask, are you related to Mr. Kelly?
We're his sisters. Yeah, we're his sisters on his father's side. On the father's side. On the father's side. He's put out a statement. You all get in touch with us and we'll make sure you get that statement he put out. Yeah.
You're welcome. See you anytime.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Now, as you guys have seen, that was the Kelly sisters during the sentencing court date. In the background was Hollywood Nexx. I believe she's also known as Pieces of the Puzzle. And she had a few things to say, questioning their authenticity. In any event, I feel like people can say or feel however they feel. That's on you. I just think there's a time and a place for it. And if everybody is a supporter, it shouldn't really matter. That's just my personal opinion. When you go beyond that, I think it's hate. I think it's a personal attack. That's just my personal feelings. But to each his own. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into a recording that was taken some time ago. And this was sent to me by one of the sisters, to prove their relationship. Some people are going to ask questions about if it's still in existence. Wait, maybe I shouldn't say it that way. Does he still feel that way? You know, there's always going to be somebody to come with some kind of something. But at the end of the day, I'll let you guys listen to it. Some of you may have heard it already. In any event, I'm going to let you hear it again. You guys let me know what you think. Hold on, let me cue this.
I just want people to know that. I want my fans to know that. I want everybody to know that because I be getting mail sometimes and people, some of them are talking about them like they're lying. They are not lying. Those are my real sisters. And they really do love and support me. And I want you to do me a favor and tell Kim, give this to Kim. Tell Kim to send it to my sister, Lisa County. Okay. I don't have to. I'll give it to you now. Okay.
Now, you guys have heard the same thing that I heard. That was definitely R. Kelly talking to Joy, saying that those are his real sisters. I am sure there's going to be a debate about it. I'm sure there is still going to be disbelief. But for the sake of fairness, my question is, does it matter? Like, I never understood, with Levi for Kelly or Dana J or the sisters or whomever else, why it was so important to verify and validate a relationship of a biological sibling. Because in my opinion, if everyone is for R. Kelly, be it whether the treatment, the sentence, the behavior, whatever it is, even those who are against, doesn't matter who you are fighting with. That seems to be like always something that's within our community. We can't never get it together because, I hear people talk about distractions. Those are the distractions. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, that's what's distracting about it, because everybody has an opinion on who's official and who ain't. When at the end of the day, the only person that's sitting in the jail cell is R. Kelly. So you could be his mama. You could be his daddy. You could be whoever. But is that going to help him get out? You understand? Like, there's no disrespect to anybody. I'm not attacking, Hollywood Nexx. I'm not attacking the naysayers. I'm just presenting a question that's valid because it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm presenting the same type of questioning when, the same type of questioning when he had the court date and people were allowed on the phone. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. But, who am I? Because at the end of the day, I'm just another person that's actually reporting on what everyone else is reporting on. And as I've always said, this is going to be a topic that is going to be debated until that man comes home, if he comes home. Like, this is something that is going to go down in the history books. But, I would prefer to be in the history books as somebody official who had something to do with the case as opposed to being a blogger or someone with an opinion. Because, I would like to say, the hood side of me says ain't none of this getting ready to go down, inside the case. YouTube is not that strong. But the reality of it is that strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Dabowski, I'm sure, can verify that, with him being incarcerated momentarily based on his posts on YouTube. Tasha K should be able to verify and validate that based on her history. There are a lot of people who should be able to verify and validate that. And I think I could definitely verify and validate that, in addition to the YouTube. I actually did the documentary. But I don't think it holds weight for any of us because at the end of the day, quickly, when I was doing the civil rights thing with Ben Crump and Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and Jacob Blake, we had a lot of people. There was a young lady out of New York. I'm not even going to name her, but she was spearheading No Justice, No Peace. You know what I'm saying? She was making a lot of noise. And there were others who were making just as much noise. But let me tell you something, yo. At the end of the day, for real, ain't none of that matter. Because ain't none of that do anything towards those cases. The only thing that really did something towards those cases to get those people attention was when they started acting violent, when they started looting, when they started burning stuff up. But all that picketing and marching, that didn't take weight in the verdicts. It brought awareness, but as far as changing America's perception, it didn't do anything. So that case is 1,000 times stronger than R. Kelly's case because it's something that impacted the world. Unfortunately, what people do not want to believe, and these are for the pro R. Kellys, in all honesty, it's just not enough pro R. Kelly to overturn and oversee the general consensus of how America feels. You know, when you say certain things, people take that as a shot. And the reason why people take shit like that as a shot is because they're just not realistic. You know what I'm saying? You're not, I am never going to go on the side that I feel is stronger or, you know, because it's criticism, I'm not going to say something. Man, listen, overall, America feels like R. Kelly was guilty and they locked him up as a result. And what's stronger, white America felt like that. And what's even stronger in the undertone to that was black America was the America that started it. It was black women. Jim DeRogatis does what all, white men like him do. They pick somebody weak, or they come in and champion for somebody black so they can be the angel that helps save a black girl. Yo, I understand there were victims in life. I understand how the game goes. But what I don't understand and what I do not accept and I do not like is somebody always coming to have to save us. You understand? I do not like Jim DeRogatis coming in with he helped save 100 black women because they were being abused and this and that. Be it whether the women were black against another black man. I feel like at the end of the day, until we stand up and protect and police our own, we ain't making no difference. We could sit down at YouTube all day, blog, vlog, scream, shout. That don't mean nothing. Not until a Jim DeRogatis comes along. You understand? Like, and is that racist? Yo, you can call it whatever you want. I call it how I see it. You understand? Because there are just as many people who are accused of what R. Kelly is convicted of that he will not touch. I will stand on that all day. Because the powers that be will tell him, down, boy. That's exactly what it's going to be. Sit down. And guess what he going to do? Sit. And you know why he has no choice but to sit? Because they're just not going to publish it. They're not going to print it. He can be as passionate as he wants against R. Kelly, but nobody would really care if it was somebody he was going against that was white. The best example I can give you is as of today in, Illinois, there was a young man who went on a rampage at a parade and killed a bunch of people, right? He is dominating the news and he's dominating the news and they're now giving it to him and saying it's mental illness. But did you know on that same day in Gary, Indiana, there were 10 people shot, and I think 3 of them critical, the same day in a black neighborhood, and it gets nowhere near the attention that it needs. And there's no one that's going to be named in the black incident as having a mental health issue. There is always going to be subliminal and subtle racism. R. Kelly ain't no different. Jim DeRogatis, he ain't no different. And he ain't no saint. And I don't care who feels however they feel, because at the end of the day, just like I said, I hold down R. Kelly's sisters. I hold down a lot of people. I mess with everybody. I'm not because you with that group, I can't talk to you, or you with this group and I can't. Man, I don't care about I don't care nothing about that. What I care about is if you good people, you good people. If I fuck with you, I fuck with you. There's nothing that is going to make me change from that. You understand? And there's nothing that's going to make me change from saying how I feel. And if people think that it's racist, then think what you want to think. But the facts in the cases don't lie. Because at the end of the day, there are 25 people shot and however many people that passed, and it's unfortunate. And my prayers are up for all of the people who have lost their lives, both black and white. But at the same time, on the same hand, if you flip it, the same day, the same thing happened with black folks. They're not dominating the news. Nobody cares. There are not constant news reports. This is not a national epidemic. But it's a national epidemic when a white boy goes up and kills a bunch of white people in a wealthy American neighborhood. If that's not racist, I don't know what is. So don't tell me nothing about R. Kelly doesn't have racial undertones. Don't tell me nothing about the justice system is not biased towards black men. Don't tell me nothing about when I know in order to get a fair trial, you have to have a white man come in and represent you. Don't tell me Jennifer Bongine is not a token. It's not a shot at Jennifer Bongine. And if you want to take it like a shot, take it however you want to take it. I don't care. You understand? Like, I really don't care nothing about that. But Jennifer Bongine is a white woman who just happens to be the person defending R. Kelly. And what better person to defend a black man with sexual charges than a white woman in American court? And that is a necessary evil. You dig? That is something that has to be. And that is the state of black America. It's all in your face. I told y'all, R. Kelly's story was precedence because it was going to start a precedence. And I'm going to tell you this beforehand. LGBTQ, you guys are next because Roe versus Wade, when they did that, you don't stand a chance. Your father could be the congressman. Your beautician, makeup artist can be gay. This, and it don't matter because the game is the game. And these people are playing with an agenda. And we are all a part of an agenda. And let me tell you something. That agenda turns you into a statistic, whether you want to be one or not. So it don't really matter at the end of the day which side you're on. It doesn't matter who's related to who. It don't matter how much you scream and shout. The only way to overcome any of this is if everybody does it united and with honesty and calling a spade a spade. Until you do that, ain't nothing gonna change, yo. That's just what it is. And whoever don't like it, this podcast ain't for you. I'm not here for friends. I'm here for being real. I'm here for trying to make sure that we can prevent these type of things from happening again. And unfortunately, before the year is over, there may be another travesty. And I don't know if it's going to be black or white, but I could tell you this, the way they handle it and the way it's treated is definitely going to be in black and white. Mark my words. Yo. Thanks for listening. At the end of the day, you could have been anywhere listening to anybody. And there's a lot of people to listen to. So I thank you for listening to me. I want y'all to do what I always ask you to do. Nothing more and nothing less. And you know what it is, right? Have a nice day.